Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro to a Honda Ridgeline HPD edition. Before we get in this video though, a huge shout out and thanks to the Stockton 12 Honda here in Utah for giving me some time with the Ridgeline. I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below so you can check out what they have currently. If you have any questions or need any help, just ask for John. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get into it. Under the hood of the Tacoma, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 6-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 278 horsepower and then 265 pound-feet of torque. Now under the hood of the Ridgeline, we have a naturally aspirated 3.5 liter V6 that goes through a 9-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 18 around town and then 24 on the highway, with power outputs being 280 horsepower and then 262 pound-feet of torque. Now before we go over the front ends, I do want to mention, if you want to see more videos just like this, then I recommend you subscribe because I post content every single day. Starting with the Tacoma TRD Pro, which is the most extreme version of the Tacoma. You guys can see we've got that cool TRD Pro decal on the hood, and then look at the vent in the center. And then we've got the Tacoma's really neat LED daytime running lights there with the LED headlamps, rigid fog lights. We've got the Heritage Toyota logo front and center. And then down below, you guys can see skid plates protection. Now with the TRD Pro, we've got 9.4 inches of ground clearance. And then if we compare that to the Ridgeline, notice with the hood, it has like flat there in the center. And then you guys can see with the whole light setup. And then we got the turn signal indicator down below. And then we got a fog light there at the very bottom. I like how the grill's kind of like darker in coloration. I think it looks pretty cool. Now with the Ridgeline, we have a little bit less ground clearance. I want you guys to guess. Okay, now that you've guessed, 7.6 inches of ground clearance. And I mean, you can see the difference when you look at the trucks side by side. Now let's go over some elements here with the side of the Tacoma. First off, our tire and wheel setup is 265, 70, 16 in the front and over in the rear. You guys can see we've got TRD there in the center of the wheel, which looks really cool. And then notice we got the TRD tuned suspension and shocks. That's one of the big things here with the TRD Pro. And by the way, Fox shocks for the branding. And then look at these chunky fender flares. Tacoma badge there on the side, which is blacked out. And then you guys can see the fender flares there in the rear, pretty beefy. Notice TRD Pro here stamped in. And then I do want to mention we've got leaf springs here in the back end, and then we have a solid rear axle. Now on the side of the Ridgeline, our tire and wheel setup is 245, 60, 18 in the front and over in the rear as well. Now these wheels are specific to the HPD, which I think they look pretty sweet. And then we have independent front suspension. And notice here with the big fender flare and then the door handles. And of course we got HPD here on the side. And then we actually have independent rear suspension as well. Now when it comes to key fobs, they both have remote start function. It's just with the Toyota, you spam the lock button. But the Honda key fob definitely looks a lot more premium. Now we'll dive into the beds in just a moment, but I quickly want to talk about payload capacities. So with the Ridgeline, it's 1,477 pounds. With the Tacoma, it's 990 pounds. Now popping into the bed here with the Ridgeline, you guys can see that, well, everything's already protected from the factory, so you don't have to worry about scratches on paint or anything like that. But the big party trick with the Ridgeline is not the fact that it has a very spacious bed, but it's the fact that you have this barn door opening, and then you can open this up and you got tons of storage space underneath and the spare tire. And so the utility with the Ridgeline bed is just insane. What I do want to say is make sure you fully click that in. Now popping over to the Tacoma, it actually slow lowers down. This one actually is good as well. This one's got the composite bed that you can get from Toyota, and then you guys can see with the full outlet. It also has a mat, which I think is so pointless when you have a composite bed. But obviously not as cool with the party tricks, but it's still a bed. Now finishing things up with the rest of the rear, I like how you've got the dual exhaust tips here with the Ridgeline, and then of course HPD on the back yet again. Now with the Tacoma, you guys can see we got the TRD Pro badge, and then we've got our TRD Pro exhaust sticking out the back, which still pretty neat. Now popping inside, you guys can see we actually have really nice padding here in the back of the Ridgeline. Got some cup holder action, and then here are the seats perforated all down the center portion, and then you can pull this to lift up the seat. There's more storage underneath, and then legroom back here is actually solid. So is headroom as well. I got a little storage pocket back here, and then this thing actually pulls down to be a cup holder armrest, so that's fun. And getting out It's very easy because it's lower to the ground. Now with the Tacoma, we've got some padding here on the door panel, definitely more utilitarian looking. And then same thing here with these seats. Got the red stitching, it's kind of a TRD Pro thing. And then yeah, the pattern in the center of the seat's definitely interesting. Now popping in, oh yeah, legroom's actually more cramped, so the Ridgeline's more spacious with legroom. And headroom, actually. Yeah, that's crazy. This cabin's smaller than the Ridgeline. Anyways, let's head to the front of the Ridgeline. Now popping to the front here, you guys can see again with all of the padding and stitching, and then our window controls right here, front two are automatic. And then we got like tons of storage space. And then just a quick look at the mirrors themselves. And then with the front seats, you know, it's perforated all down the center portion. They are power adjustable. And then we've got this for a mirror adjustment, your econ mode, and then your lane departure. You can see collision assistance, stability control for the cargo light. Steering wheel's manually adjustable as well. Ooh. So with the steering wheel here, obviously it's got the wrapping from the factory. We've got adaptive cruise control with steering assist, which is nice. Paddle shifters here on the back for that 9-speed automatic. Got our turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock. Pretty basic looking gauge cluster here in the center. Low on fuel, that never happens. Anyways, popping into reverse, we do have a backup camera with trajectory lines that turn with the steering wheel. And as for the rest of the infotainment system, you know, pretty decent. It's not Honda's newest unit, but you know, functionality on it's fine. And then we've got our climate controls here for the front. Notice you got your rear climate as well, dual zone for the front if you guys are wondering. Heated seats down below that. And then we have our whole gear selector system here with all of our buttons. And then this is actually a drive mode select. So notice we got a bunch of different drive modes here for the all-wheel drive traction system. And then this is such a weird center console. It works though, definitely works. And then you can see the glove box. And up top we do have a sunroof. And the last thing that I meant to show you guys is the power setting window here with the Ridgeline. Now popping over to the Tacoma, you guys can see that same kind of utilitarian appearance continues with the door panel. All of our window controls, mirror adjustments. Just a quick look at the mirrors with the Tacoma. And then here are the front seats. Notice it says TRD Pro. And then look at the pattern there. It goes down the center portion. And then our adjustments there. And then we have this for like the cargo light, your stability control. That's for the camera system. And, well, ooh. So with the steering wheel, it's like perforated here on the side. We do have adaptive cruise control, lean, keep, assist. But again, pretty basic looking. No paddle shifters or anything like that. And then same thing with the gauge cluster, also kind of more on the basic side of things with the appearance. And then popping it into reverse, we do have a 360 camera system with the Tacoma, so I guess that's a win for the Tacoma when it comes to the camera. As for the infotainment system, it's not Toyota's newest unit, so like just like the Honda, it's fine, but yeah. Down below, we've got our analog controls for the climate system, dual zone climate, heated seats with the Tacoma, and then you guys can see the driveline select. We're in two-wheel drive right now. We can go into four-wheel high and then four-wheel low, so yeah, complete contrast to the all-wheel drive system you have with the Ridgeline. And then you guys can see for like the blind spot monitoring, your ECT power, and then yes, power setting window with this, just like the Ridgeline. And then we actually have a wireless phone charging pad right there in the center. And then more storage, shifter for that 6-speed automatic, and then you can see more normal center console. And then glove box there. And up top, we do have a sunroof, just like the Ridgeline. Now, big difference here, if it'll pop up on camera, which maybe it won't. There we go. We have a rear locking differential, and then this has crawl control as well as our multi-terrain select. The multi-terrain select is your off-road modes for the TRD Pro, and so both of them kind of have like off-road drive modes, but this one system I would say is probably more advanced. Now when it comes to pricing, the Ridgeline stickers for about $46,000, the Tacoma stickers for about $51,000. Okay, so we are going to start off in the Ridgeline, and we'll go Tacoma second. I think this is a good way to do it actually, so that we can see if the fake pickup truck feels as real as a real pickup truck. So we'll see if I go back in the Tacoma and I feel like I'm having more of a pickup truck experience popping back into it. But anyways, first off, ride quality is really good. It's one of the big benefits of this being1unibody and having independent front and rear suspension. Is the ride quality's good, seat comfort's also really good as well, and the handling's great too. Thing that's fantastic is like, yeah, we have a truck bed and it's a pretty long vehicle, but it doesn't have the truck, you know, wobble back and forth. It actually, you know, handles pretty flat. And so it makes it so that the ride with it's very good on road. And that 9-speed automatic is really good at keeping it in the power band, which I think is a big plus. I like the storage space here. It's kind of random. It's funny. Now, some other stuff here is this armrest is also, because like you got the weird center console, so you have like the armrest, I guess. That's another weird thing. The Ridgeline's got some weird stuff. It's a quirky pickup truck. Decent torque. Yeah, I love how smooth it is. That's the thing that I really like, is it's just like floats down the road. It's very comfortable experience. Braking's really good too. Yeah, there's like no body roll, so you can pretty much just like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a race car, but you can pretty much just go around corners pretty well. I'll get another acceleration down here in a moment that'll be a little bit better, but I mean, getting on it's pretty solid. That is for sure. Although it says genuine leather steering wheel, do not remove. Don't worry, won't do that. But I will feel with my thumbs. Yeah, that does feel like genuine leather. But let's get our acceleration here with the Ridgeline, see how punchy this is. Oh yeah, I mean, it moves. The big thing with this is that 9-speed automatic. It doesn't have to like gear hunt or anything. Yeah, and so it can just go right where it needs to, which I think is great. It's quick, that's for sure. So I think it drives really well. It's compared to the Tacoma. Okay, so setting off in the Tacoma. Let's see if I was missing out while I was driving the Ridgeline, right? Was I missing out on the true, you know, truck experience? First off, I will say the seats in the Tacoma are not nearly as comfortable as the seats in the Ridgeline. They're kind of hard, to be honest. So I think that's a little bit of a downside. That is for sure. The other thing to note is this interior does feel like a little bit less open. It feels a little bit more cramped compared to the Ridgeline interior as well, so that's another interesting difference with both of them. Definitely sounds a bit louder though too with the TRD exhaust, which I don't think that's a bad thing. I think this sounds pretty good. But getting up and moving, way different driving experience. Wow. Obviously this is body on frame, independent front suspension, solid rear axle, and yeah, it drives, I mean, this feels more like a, like the Ridgeline feels like an SUV. This feels more like a pickup truck. So there's some downsides to that. Steering's a little bit more vague. It's got way more body roll, and it feels like just bigger and heavier. So some of you might like that experience, some of you might not. I will say absorption over bumps though, a little bit better. The Ridgeline, like on smooth pavement, definitely feels better, but this with those fog shocks, it feels like it absorbs those over bump impacts just a little bit better. I will say I'm kind of annoyed with the brakes on this. Like the Ridgeline brakes were really progressive. These ones are kind of jumpy, but I think it's also like the suspension of the truck. I think that also plays a part in how these brakes feel. And you know, they both have V6s that have similar power outputs. They're both 3.5 liter too. But this one doesn't feel quite as punchy as the Ridgeline. And a big part of that's the transmission. And you know, this also has bigger tires, so it's got to move a little bit more. Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's that much slower than the Ridgeline. They're pretty close. But this transmission's not as refined. That's for sure. Ridgeline's definitely a bit more refined. So to sum things up, the Ridgeline's better on road than this. Now obviously this isn't an off-road comparison. I've taken one of these off-road, and I haven't actually taken the new Ridgeline off-road, but I have taken several vehicles that are similar to it, like the Honda Passport Trail Sport, which is also another Honda. And what I can tell you is that the Tacoma's going to be better off-road. It's got better tires, the four-wheel drive system, and the rear locking differential, and the ground clearance. It's going to win off-road. With that being said, though, if you're just going to be going down, like, you know, dirt roads, Ridgeline's probably going to be the better one to go for. And then as a daily driver, yeah, the Ridgeline's a little bit, well, not a little bit, it's quite a bit more comfortable. Seats are more comfortable, suspension's more comfortable. And so I guess if you're not actually going to take the trucks off-road, the Ridgeline's probably the better route to go. I still love the Tacoma. I love how it looks, don't get me wrong, and I love how this thing drives off-road. But yeah, let me know which one you'd pick.